All right, how you guys doing? Welcome to Live Vibe Coding with Will Melton. I am Will Melton, and this is the channel RVA. If this is your first time joining us, I am on a quest to make 52 apps in 2026. I have built 31 so far. Today we'll build 32 and maybe even 33. We'll see. That might be a tomorrow thing, but I go live now twice a week at 1 o'clock on Saturday Eastern Time and at let's see, 10 o'clock on Sunday. I'm going to clean my camera here. All right, should get some of those streaks out of there. In any event, I'm going to go over to channelrva.com and bring up RVA Art, which is the background music that I have relied on so heavily as I have streamed with you guys. So you'll hear our familiar sounds.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
And if you're in the Richmond market, head over to this place to see what we are cooking up. I'm going to change my volume here so you can hear me better. And I'm just going to make sure that my overall volume is good. All right, we're in good shape. All right, so anyhow, RVA Art is just one of the features at Channel RVA. And if you are looking for an event to gather around on first Friday of June 5th, we have a special event for our exclusive subscribers, exclusive to our subscribers, and encourage you to come and fill out this form here so that you can get on the list, or just head over to the event link and say that you're going, and we'll get you on the list. So that's all you've got to do. I'd love to see you there if you are in Richmond. I'm trying to see if my chat is up here because I don't see it. So let me actually see if I can't get this back. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so if you have any questions for me while we are here today, please feel free to ask. I'm here to answer your questions as I build. I am building on Lovable, and I do have a referral link if you want to get some free credits. You can check that out. It's in the description of this video, and it will be in the post recording as well, so you'll be able to find that. And anyhow, I am going to be working on a couple of things today. So we have our product roadmap, and we have Carl Optimize, and we're going to work on those two things primarily. Now, I might get into a couple of other things that we're working on in between some of these prompts, but right now, this is what I've got for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a prompt that I had in Claude a bit ago so that I can well, so we'll start over. Let me just do a voice prompt here. And I think that's going to be our method for getting this wired up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my Lovable agent, and I'm going to hit the mic button, and I'm going to start recording. So one of the things that I want to add to the product roadmap is a plan to make sure that we are properly addressing affected functionality when we roll out code changes. One of the things that happens when we make edits with an AI agent is some of the things that happen we don't necessarily realize it's affecting another area of the application that's been built. So what we want to do is before we actually build anything, we want to update the roadmap item to include details about what functions inside the application or outside the application could be impacted if we're connected to external tools or if we're connected to some other website via API. We want to make sure that we are addressing all of those QC steps once we finish the project. And so that's the first part. The second part is when we move a task to in review from the sprint queue execute sprint prompt, we actually need to add a checklist when we move it to in review that has the person who's checking able to check off each of the different functions and verify that it works as expected so that they can confirm that that code didn't break some other area of the website. Go ahead and add that to the product roadmap with any relevant details or ask me any questions that might be necessary. All right, so if you are new and you haven't seen this already, the product roadmap is something that I build into every single one of my products. It helps me to document the functionality that we intend to develop. And there's something important about this. What we want to be able to do is indicate the motivation for why we're building something, and the roadmap gives us that ability. Once something's built, it may not necessarily be clear just looking at the code why that was built. And so when we're dealing with AI agents and having them perform functions for us, whether it's research or writing code or writing content, the more context we can give it, the better. And so the product roadmap gives a bit more context to the agent as it goes to build. And what we're relying on here is the combination of the understanding of the code and the understanding of the motivation of the team that's designing the tool. So that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing now is we want to make sure that we can make this functionality as good as it can be because we're automating a good bit of the code development here. Okay, so all right, it's got some questions for me, so I'm just going to read this and answer. The impact analysis should be required. It takes some more compute, but it's going to make for a better finished product. I don't know that we need to mess with auto notifications. We're not linking roadmaps together as much as we intended to originally. I think reviewers should be able to add free text QC rows since it's a space that we can fill. Anybody who has access to the product roadmap, most product roadmaps are only for admins. We'll just say this: anybody, yes, anybody who's authenticated to see the finished product roadmap or can edit the product roadmap is going to be okay for that one. All right, so we're giving it more context. We're giving it information that will help it to become the best software we can make it. Now, somebody the other day on my team asked me if I got to get my chat back. I somehow lost it. I see what happened. So somebody asked me if I put everything into the product roadmap, and the answer to that question was depends. If it's a new function, then it goes into the product roadmap because I want that context. The context is going to help me with a couple of things as well. So in addition to being able to have that information for the lovable agent, at some point I'm going to come back in here and build documentation into the roadmap, or excuse me, into the product. And that documentation is going to be dependent on that clarity, the clarity that comes from roadmap, clarity that comes from the code. And so that is the reason for putting things into the product roadmap. When I do not put things into the product roadmap is usually when I am, let's see, when I'm going to be editing something that is already in the product roadmap. I may come back and put follow-up text into the task to be able to give that clarity in the product roadmap itself. A lot of times I'm just giving that information directly to the local agent. Okay. So I want to get this in the roadmap and not worry about the other tasks that are in here right now. I'm not quite entirely sure what these are from, where they were populated from. So I want to, excuse me, I want to get some more clarity on that before I do it. Right now, I just have this one activity that we want to take because we're going to deploy this roadmap in another place so that we can have a more successful build when we go back in and begin building out, separating out Carl Optimizer from Carl Rice.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
One of the things that I'm doing right now is checking out some tasks in a project. And part of the reason I'm doing that is I wanted to see this is so I'm in the product roadmap. So I want to take a look at optimize, look at dashboard, optimize. Okay, looks like there is some start here. What I'm just checking on right now is that I have linked properly the roadmap for this project to Asana, where there's some additional details. And there's a two-way sync there that will properly allow us to keep track of it in two different places. We're eventually going to get rid of Asana, but or at least for this we will. But for now, we're keeping track of it in two places. But before I move forward, I want to update this roadmap, and we'll get the updated SDK. All right, so while I'm waiting on that to progress, I do have one follow-up from last weekend. If you were following along, I had a work plan for Hermes Agent that really didn't get where I wanted it to be. And I haven't worked on that since last weekend because I've had some other scheduling challenges, but I'm going to go take a look and see if I can't review what the last status of that was. That's an old version. So I did an analysis to see I'll just get some string out of terminal here. Okay. I'd already started to wire these things up before, but I had left it alone for a few days, obviously, so I am just now catching back up with what's going on over there. So Spaceport is my central application. It keeps everything in a place. And while that's finishing up, let me hop back over here and see what we have. Okay, so we have
Sunniest Playlist Update ever. Check unsere neue Super Sunny Playlist von I Love the Sun.
okay. I don't have anything that's in review.
I love the sun.
Um,
Alle worldwide Sommerhits und Summer
so we'll
Throwbacks.
switch that to in
Latin
review,
Pop,
and
R&B,
let's take a look.
Afrobeats und Amapiano. Summer is now mit I Love the Sun. This is I Love Chill Hop.
Doesn't look like it produced any. Verification checklist. Let's see. So I just switched the task that we just worked on to in review, and I do see the QC verification checklist, but I do not see any dependencies or functions that are affected by that. I know for a fact that if that functions were affected, primarily the execute sprint prompt should have changed, which means that when I go to execute the next sprint, there should be I mean, there should just be a test of that, basically, at least that. What else? So I'm just taking a look at some of these tasks to see if they need to be
in to channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
All right, so one of the things that I'm noticing here is looks like some of these tasks might belong to another app, and that is possible because we do have some. Yeah, that's what's happening. There's not any way. There's no indicator of external tasks in the product roadmap, so I want to actually label on the cards themselves what the project is that it's associated with, because I've been looking at these thinking that they belong to this product. And I need to make sure that we're not trying to execute tasks from other projects with the Sprint auto assembler on this product, if that makes any sense. So for those of you who are following along here, this product roadmap manager was originally designed to be able to manage multiple projects from the same place. I haven't necessarily done that yet. I haven't found a way to do it. There's some gaps in the architecture plan, but I'm not getting rid of it because I think we'll have what we need soon enough. Now, it might seem like I'm spending a lot of time on this, and frankly, I am. But ultimately, this will save me a lot more time in the future because I am building applications for our internal needs. I'm building client applications, building my challenge applications. And so the more of this I get right, the faster and better the builds can be. So we'll be able to test some of this stuff when we execute the next sprint. A lot of stuff here. So this is just, it's a long list of things. It's 10 things. It's going to take me, I've gotten 4 of them read. I'm down to 5. It takes time to go through this, and I'm not even checking yet. I'm just reading for comprehension. Next up, I will get to reading. I will go through the list and start checking things off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the next sprint to get assembled. I don't have anything in this project aside from that. So it might be that doesn't make sense. When I click the show external button, all of the same items are there. It doesn't actually change visibility of anything. So it sees the internal items as external items. At one point, I was building the roadmap as a foundation that I was going to replicate. I got it. So one of the things that I don't understand is some of these tasks seem like they belong to other applications. Are we sure that they weren't synchronized? Doesn't look like we have any remote sources configured, but maybe we did at one time. Anyway, maybe help me understand which of the different tasks belong here. Maybe you can identify that some of them belong in another app. I'm going to go and get some resources on my other screen. I'm going to get an API key. But I don't remember how to do it. Okay. All right, so let's see. I'm just reading through all this stuff. All right, so anyhow, what I'm doing now is I am moving into wrapping up the work on the roadmap changes that we were going to make. I have a couple of synchronization things that I want to do. I don't know if I actually have a sync to Spaceport, but I will do that. And while I'm prompted here, I know that a lot of the folks who follow along are in the Richmond market. And so if you are here in Richmond, check out channelrva.com. This is the host of this program. So you'll find our content streaming live on channelrva.com, as well as all of our episodes are here as well. And you can subscribe and get the Central Virginia news daily in your inbox. You'll get recommendations on what to eat every day. You'll get the weather. You will get the local news. You'll get local podcasts, local videos, local authors and books. You will get an events calendar, and you'll be able to customize all of this through My RVA, which is your hub to create a calendar of things to do, to sync that with your calendar, to share it with friends, and you can create events from a number of different places inside of the application. So check that out. It's something that I've been working on for a little while. This thing gets a lot of eyeballs, and so it also gets a lot of attention by my team and myself. And so it's a lot of fun. It's a really unique thing. There's some interactive features in here. There are some new programs that are going to come up that will have even more interactive features. A podcast, a game show podcast. You guys might have watched me build that when we were hanging out here together. All right, so I was also popping into my Hermes agent to see what's going on over there. I'm gonna just all right, so I'm gonna keep those two moving along, talking to each other. But while that's happening, I'm just gonna keep rocking and rolling over here. And basically, I am allowing whatever action, that last leftover action was happening with Carl Optimize to complete. I will log in here just to make sure that I get logged in. Mostly just a roadmap at this point, but there's a little bit in there. And what I'm going to do before I get really rocking and rolling is I'm going to actually take this roadmap and update it. One of the things that I want to do is make sure that our deployment stuff is up to date with the latest version. I know that we need to document also the latest build that we have here, which I think is going to be a subversion of 3. But I want to make sure that all of our deployment prompts and everything is good to go. We also have this app that's built out in a few other places. And I want to be able to update those apps. But I also know that we have the problem with the Vite and TanScript switchover that we've recently pushed. So there's probably going to be some other ones that have TanScript. Or maybe they all got switched over to Vite. I'm not sure. But mostly what I'm trying to do is get the application functionality deployed that we're interested in introducing today, which is the validation tasks. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Good to see you again. If you read the description, we're wrapping up some roadmap improvements. And we're going to push those roadmap improvements over to Carl Optimizer, which is a split off of an application. We've been using one application to do both content writing and optimization. And we're going to be splitting that now into 2 applications so that we can accelerate the pace of development across both apps. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. Okay. Would it make sense to connect the product roadmaps for all of the Carl applications inside of Spaceport? All right. Let's see what we have over here.
Bist du Hitstar oder bist du Flopstar? Schalt jetzt zum neuen Hitquiz-Channel und zock direkt die nächste Runde. Let's quiz!
This is I love chill hop.
Go back over to Asana and see what happens. All right. Added a callback on that. Wait to do that. I'm just going to now get the. Let's see.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators.
Let's
Subscribe
see
at
what we have over here.
channelrva.com.
there's more things there for me to see. How about that? Since this app is published, I want to make sure that the dashboard is not visible publicly. So what we're going to do is we're going to update the roadmap on the optimize tool. Okay, let's see what we have. All right, so close out of that. Let's see what we have. Here it is. I've got too many apps open. I'm losing sight of what I'm doing here. From Spaceport. Okay, Spaceport. All right, so I might have to go do this on the front end. The Asana connector is not allowing me to select a workspace. I need to be able to select a workspace when connecting because these are not the projects that I need to see. Okay. So basically, this connector is working, but it's connected to the wrong application. So we're going to fix that. A lot of things moving here. Let me try to explain it all. So we're using a roadmap deployer SDK, if you will, to help us make sure that we follow the same process on all these builds. I've relied on this very heavily throughout the course of building these 31 apps. And so we're making an update there, but we're also enabling our Spaceport app to be the centralized app for all of our projects. And that way we can see everything in one place and eventually deploy um, those prompts from one place as well. That's not going to happen right away, but it will happen eventually. So anyway, what happened was the team had already started to split off Carl Optimize, but there were some blockers that were in the way. So I'm moving past those blockers and finding out a little bit more about the progress that they've made so far. We have a little bit more work to do here, but I'm going to work on getting that in there. Before we move forward, I'm going to just prompt this a little bit to give a couple more clarity items to these tasks. I need a way to search for projects with the integrations.
You're tuned into channel RVA.
All right,
The
so I'm
Media
getting
Hub
close
for
to the
Independent
end of my
Creators.
build here,
Subscribe
but
at
I'm actually pretty happy
channelrva.com.
with what has happened today. I've gotten this up to date. Okay, so I'll test this in a different application to make sure that that works. We're going to do that over here. But I'm just going to let this one task finish before we run our sprint. One of the things that I do know is we have a number of in-review tasks that don't have any QC verification checklists, so we're going to have to backfill that. But let me do this. It's a bunch of backlog stuff. Okay, we've got our project synced to Asana. Go back to the roadmap. Let me see what else I have here. Do this as planned.
We're good.
And then I have a question about this one here. This product roadmap item has very few details. We're going to actually have to build out integrations for all of those. Right now, it looks like our integrations are really focused on Asana, but not on the different CMSs. That's going to be a bigger build, but and we might need to do it on a per case basis, but we can certainly build WordPress. We can certainly build Shopify, and that should be a good start. Let's update the product roadmap item with details and add additional roadmap items if we need to. I want to have you take a look at the product roadmap items that are active and determine if they have enough detail. One of the concerns that I have is that we aren't considering the UI inclusions that we need to be able to navigate to these items, to be able to make sure that our interface is up to date with everything that's expected. And I'm not the architect of this plan, so I'm going to need you to analyze what we've built so far in the code and determine if there's anything missing from navigation, and also add any additional details to the product roadmap items so that we can chronicle in detail what needs to happen to have success with the upcoming build. I want to add any product roadmap items that we need to in order to make sure that we have the clarity we need to move forward with a successful and efficient build. So I'm always first focused on getting this roadmap detailed and up to date. I want to add a documentation product roadmap item. I'm going to give you a spec that we can use to make that happen.
It's 2 o'clock.
So we've got some new tasks that are added here for the CMS functionality. For the CMS adapter framework push integration for Shopify and for WordPress, I want to make sure that whatever we do, we're providing step-by-step instructions or connector sequences like user interface wizards to be able to properly connect so that we don't have problems with people unable to make the connection successfully, as we're going to need to execute this at scale. Also, it's important to note that we're going to be optimizing existing published articles. And so we're going to need to use that proper ID when we go into publish. this is the fun part for me, believe it or not. It's really when I start to get to architecting, and I say that for this one because somebody else started it, and there's all these little things that you have to think about as you're going through the build that you want to make sure you get right. And you build enough of these, and you start to have some sort of uh, sense about what's necessary as you think about these little pieces of a puzzle. And so a lot is happening here to get us set up for success before we execute this. So now I'm over my hour here, but I'm going to keep going because we're getting some really good stuff. All right, let's see. Did I do anything else? I think this product roadmap is done.
You're tuned into channel
I'll come back and
RVA,
close that out later,
the
but I
media
want to
hub for
just get some of
independent
these things
creators.
closed out so that I'm not
Subscribe
thinking
at
about all this stuff.
channelrva.com.
All right, so I've got channel RVA up over there. Leave that on that side. Carl optimize. We're going through and taking care of some additional task steps. Roadmap items are added.
Die kostenlose Streaming-App für Charts, Dance, Hip-Hop und Throwbacks. Immer neue Playlisten. Immer live gestreamt.
Auto simple sprint's not working. Auto assemble sprint is not working. I'm getting an error message. If you're wondering what I was drinking there, that was a club soda and cherry juice. Maraschino cherries. Very refreshing. All right, so about to assemble this sprint once I get it fixed up. It's going to take a second to work on that. So let's see what we've got here. Spaceport base URL, Spaceport. Gotta figure out how to do this. All right. So Hermes is the build from before. Let's see. Hermes is asking me for this information, and I'm not quite sure what we need to do to get it. My music went away.
channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
All right. Fixing that auto assemble sprint so we can move through our sprint. And while we're letting that happen, all right, getting that shared secret here. If you guys aren't familiar with this one from last week, what this is supposed to do is it is supposed to help me automate the addition of tasks to the product roadmaps when we have meetings. This is a big build. It's got a lot of different features in it, but it's not too scary given all the things that I've worked on. So when I first built it, it didn't really resemble what we wanted. So it's kind of going through some different, it's going through a little bit of a shakeup. One of the things that we definitely needed to do was to make sure that it could put tasks into Spaceport, which is our centralized application for all of the things that we do, our operations. So, a lot of things going on here. We've got integrations with Slack and Recall and Gmail, Drive, Spaceport, Asana. Lots going on over here, but I just wanted to advance this a little bit because it wasn't really where we needed it to be before. Okay, so we go to the Spaceport integration. It doesn't seem like it's there. All right. What's Spaceport? Let's see. Exposes. Hermes agent build. Okay, good. Most of these are nav items, so I don't feel bad about letting a lot of that stuff go in one go. So we'll go ahead and push 10 items up and leave us with just 12 more. A couple of pretty heavy steps there outside of this navigation options. So we'll see how that goes. We might get pushed back from the agent if it's too many tokens, but we'll see. This is going to be Spaceport. So we've got our project ID. How do I get the workspace ID? I have an Asana project or Asana API set up that we can use for the Asana connectivity, but this is not proper as it is right now. It's not the right way to connect. Let me give you an example. Okay, now we can go over here and see and set a call optimize. Yeah, that's an enormous execution.
You're tuned into channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
I can't see the execute sprint button because it's covered up by the sprint queue. We need to move that down to be in line with the filters above the table. I am noticing I'm noticing that backlog items are finding their way into the sprint queue, but that is prohibited. Okay. We'll play with the Hermes a little bit more tomorrow to see all the things that it does. I've got to get a little bit more intelligent about this. I think I'll also load the documentation to this and get a product roadmap item gone for that. I want to add an item to the product roadmap that has us implementing a documentation step. I have supplied the documentation standard as an attachment. The other thing that I'll work on tomorrow, I might work on a couple of things. We'll see. One of them is going to be a coaching application for the management of coaching clients. I don't have any active coaching clients right now, but I have had some starts. And the general problem that I have is that I don't want to sell a service that I'm not prepared to serve. And so I want to build some structure around that. So that'll be one thing I work on tomorrow. And the other thing is I've been having a conversation about potentially building an application for the sake of facilitating internships so that smaller businesses have the ability to do that effectively without having to build a whole program. A lot of information we need before we can get to building something like that in earnest, but we might want to get a little start on thinking behind it, see where the common problems might exist for some of these businesses. So that's what we'll work on tomorrow. It needs to move down. I told you to move it down in line with the filters, When the screen is narrower, it doesn't work because it's not low enough. And making a little bit of progress here. I'll go ahead and add that in as a next step. Get some documentation into Hermes so that I can read a little bit more about what I built. I did build it to replicate a Hermes agent, but it's not exactly Hermes agent. It's a build that's mimicking a Hermes agent, I guess is the best way to put it. So I did an analysis to see how similar it was, and I don't know. So we'll find out tomorrow. But what I'm going to do is I'm executing this sprint now that is here inside of Carl Optimize. So we're going to start to see some things populate here on the navigation on the left. We're going to continue to build out some of those functions that we actually have the ability to build. I have some things in backlog that are related to connecting into different content management systems, and we're not going to do that today. We may not even do it tomorrow because it's going to take a little bit more heavy lifting. Probably we'll put the instructions in there for connecting, but if it's not going to be a direct connection, a wizard connection. Okay, let's see. Go ahead and change the status of those tasks and update the sprint queue to reflect that we want to do all of that. I could have done that, but I guess it wants to build everything today. So I said we were going to do it, and it says we are going to build it. So let's see. One thing that we need to do is make sure that we are wiring up our system properly to Carl AIO, which I'll give you a link to here in a minute. So we need to add a product roadmap for that if it doesn't exist. And that's going to be to pull down the content optimization recommendations so that we can actually perform the recommended optimizations inside of this program. And then we need to push updates back to that application so that it knows that we've done the optimizations. There's probably a little bit more to it. There's scope as well that lives over in Carl AIO. So we'll need to build the connector for the client scopes to come into this so that we can execute on functionality. We also may need to have a client switcher that allows us to kind of immerse ourselves in each client. So let's just update the roadmap to reflect those changes. Provide appropriate detail on the tasks according to what we've built already, what's planned. All right, so as I wrap up here, just a reminder, subscribe at channelrba.com if you're in the Richmond region. And you can follow them all along the whole development journey here on this site, along with a bunch of other cool stuff that's happening here locally. A lot of things to pull out of here, but if you want to get connected to Richmond, this is how to do it. You can also go visit studio.willmelton.com to follow along my 52
You're
app
tuned into Channel
journey here in
RVA, the media
2026. I'm
hub
up to
for independent
31. I'll have
creators.
32
Subscribe at
as of
channelrva.com.
tomorrow, and maybe 33 and 34 if we get ambitious and build those other two applications. In the meantime, I'll keep pushing to get all these things wired up, and I'll continue to make sure that we are advancing on these builds. So, thanks for following along today. I'm going to wrap things up here with you all and go about the rest of my Saturday. It's a little rainy out there in Richmond, but it's not raining right now. So, gotta go take the dogs on a walk and enjoy a little bit of this day. Thanks so much for joining me. Join me again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be live on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, as well as studio.willmelton.com, where you can see me, or Channel RVA. All those places are good places to tune in. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and we'll catch you next time.